a post-apocalyptic wasteland, high-speed car crashes, and a dog saved from the pound. Mad Max. 2. The Road Warrior, the 1981 Australian action masterpiece, became a legendary film in the world of action cinema, but the making of it was even wilder than what you see on screen. Today we'll reveal 10 secrets about Mad Max 2 you never knew, from insane stunts and budget chaos to behind-the-scenes drama that helped make it an unforgettable classic. Fact number 1. The crew used their own cars. With Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior operating on a very low budget, the filmmakers leaned hard into resourcefulness, and that meant the crew themselves stepped up in a way most movie sets never do. Many members weren't just behind the scenes, but they were the action. Extras had to bring their own cars to set, even if many of them had zero experience in doing stunts. No professional stunt team meant that those everyday vehicles had to be redesigned with spiked bumpers and jet black paint jobs, and also modified for high-speed chases that felt real and unpredictable. Instead of relying on expensive stunt coordinators or special effects, Road Warrior made use of guerrilla filmmaking. Vehicles crashed, flipped, and collided in real situations, often in one take, because there was no money to build and destroy multiple duplicates. The danger was built into every chase sequence, and that made the movie even more authentic. Just so they could create the post-apocalyptic look, the crew used scrap metal, salvaged engines, and found parts from different cars. The scenes were shot guerrilla style, and sometimes the crew didn't even notify the authorities before staging a high-speed pursuit. But even as the production was struggling to get it all together despite the low budget, one actor was holding on to his beard. Fact number 2. Mel Gibson's beard problem. When production for Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior began, Mel Gibson turned up on set with a full, unruly beard, and he refused to shave it off at first. The beard wasn't a cosmetic issue, but it threatened the continuity of the film, because Max's rugged post-apocalyptic appearance had to match the world George Miller was building. The tension grew quickly. The director worried that letting Gibson keep his facial hair would undermine the character's iconic look, but Gibson didn't want to lose his beard for some reason. The standoff actually caused real friction on set. The crew members and producers pushed for Gibson to shave because it was necessary for the film to work. It would cause continuity errors between shots or reveal that this was a sequel rather than a standalone movie. Eventually, Gibson had no choice. He gave in and shaved, and it turned out to be a turning point for his performance. But just imagine what the movie would have looked like if Mel Gibson sported a full, rough beard instead of the clean-shaven character that we eventually got for Max. Many things were going wrong on the set of Mad Max, including one motorcycle stunt scene that they decided to keep in the movie. Fact number 3. The motorcycle crash they kept. Some of Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior's iconic moments come not from carefully planned choreography, but from a dangerous stunt gone off the rails. During a high-speed motorcycle sequence, stuntman Guy Norris was tasked with a daring move. He was told to ride over a crashed buggy and launch into the air, but instead of clearing the vehicle as intended, his leg struck the buggy's frame, launching him into a wild arc. He somersaulted through the air, landing hard and breaking his femur. Because of the low budget and high-risk nature of the production, there was no room for multiple takes. The crash was real, the pain was real, yet the shot was too spectacular to discard. Director George Miller, who trained as a medical doctor, immediately tended to Norris before calling for an ambulance. Instead of hiding it, Miller made a bold decision. He kept the unplanned accident in the final cut. This wasn't Norris's only stunt in the movies. He also doubled for Mel Gibson and performed multiple risky jumps, sometimes switching costumes to play different characters in the same sequence. Despite the injury, he came back a few days later, popped his broken leg on a box just off camera, and even shot a fight scene with Gibson. Having a stunt accident with a motorcycle isn't so surprising, but just imagine an accident caused by a camel on the set of Mad Max 2. Fact number 4. Camel accident offset. During the filming of Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, not all injuries happened amid roaring engines and orchestrated crashes. In fact, there was one bizarre accident that occurred on a stuntman's day off. Stuntman Kim Noyce decided to ride his motorcycle through the desert in his downtime and encountered a caravan of camels. The sound of his revving engine spooked one of the camels, which unexpectedly lashed out and kicked him. The force was severe enough to send Noyce flying, leaving him with a broken ankle. What makes this incident especially shocking is the fact that it wasn't even part of the movie. All the stuntman wanted to do was have some fun on his day off, but he ended up literally getting kicked by a camel. It was a genuinely unpredictable animal encounter that underscored just how wild things were off camera. Whether the camera was on or off, there were a lot of accidents during the filming of Mad Max 2. The Road Warrior. If you think a motorcycle and camel is already crazy, just imagine how dangerous the stunt involving a tanker was. Fact number 5. The tanker stunt fasting rule. The climax of Mad Max 2. The Road Warrior rests on one of its most terrifying and daring stunts, which was the tanker roll. The stunt was driven by Dennis Williams, a professional truck driver, not a stuntman, and the risks were very real. To make sure the stunt went off without fatal consequences, the production took extraordinary precautions. Williams was told to fast for 12 hours before the stunt. Why, you might ask? Well, it was a medical safety measure. Since director George Miller was a former ER doctor, he made sure the driver was in the best possible condition in case something went wrong during the roll and emergency surgery was needed. On the day of the stunt, the tension was sky high. Williams lined up the massive Mack tanker, accelerated down the dusty Mundi Mundi plain, and hit the spot he needed to. There was massive speed, a precise turn, and then over the bank, a full rollover. The truck rolled violently, the cabin smashed, and dirt flew everywhere. A dune buggy carrying the safety crew followed closely, and an ambulance and helicopter were on standby. After the roll, everyone breathed a sigh of relief once Williams emerged from the wrecked tanker alive. The cast and crew cheered on each other as they had successfully pulled off such an impressive stunt in one take. Over the weeks of filming, the crew used their small budget to pull off different crashes and flips, and there was no single safety net. Fact number 6. Real crashes and no safety net. On Mad Max 2, there was no room for polished Hollywood safety nets. The crew was small, the budget was tight, and they embraced risk in every stunt. Instead of relying on miniature models or CGI, George Miller leaned into real, raw action. More than 200 stunts were executed during production, many involving actual crashes, flips, and car destruction. Filmed in the isolated Australian outback around Broken Hill, the location added its own layer of unpredictability. The remoteness of the sites meant that there were a lot of logistical challenges. Sometimes it took 2 or 3 days for Miller and the key crew to view dailies. On top of that, the weather refused to cooperate. The region was picked for its dryness, but rain came for the first time in years during the shoot, forcing a 1-week shutdown. Against this chaotic backdrop, the crew had real destruction. More than 80 vehicles were used, and crashes were often one-take affairs. One shot involved a camera rig so close to the ground that the camera platform scraped and sparked as cars sped downhill. But instead of stopping, the crew just kept rolling. Their guerrilla-style approach gave the Road Warrior its visceral edge. There was no green screen to soften the danger, and all the crashes and flips were real. But it wasn't always all chaos and craziness during the production, as there were some heartfelt moments too. One of these was the dog who was rescued and became Max's co-star. Fact number 7. Rescue dog became a star. One of the most heartwarming and surprising stories behind Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior involves Ma's canine companion, simply known as Dog. The cast dog wasn't some specially bred Hollywood animal. He was rescued from an RSPCA pound just 1 day before he was due to be euthanized. What made him stand out to the filmmakers was a simple act of play. He picked up a rock and dropped it at George Miller's feet, as if auditioning himself. But life on the Road Warrior set wasn't easy for a rescue dog. Engines roared continually, and the noise terrified him. To protect him and preserve takes, the crew fitted his ears with makeshift earplugs. Despite all the chaos, he earned his place on screen, forming a genuine bond with Mel Gibson's Max. After filming Wrapped, Dog's story didn't end in some dark pound or retirement home. He was adopted by one of the camera operators and spent the rest of his life with people who loved him. In the movie, he became Max's only real friend, giving an emotional weight to Max's journey that might have been all muscle and grit. Although there were many dangerous stunts that were pulled off and only led to some crashed cars, with over 200 stunts, injuries racked up on set as the stuntmen started to lose their minds. Fact number 8. Injuries piled up on set. The blockbuster action of Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, is legendary, but the price paid by its stunt team was very real. Aside from the motorcycle crash that sent Guy Norris flying, other members of the crew also suffered serious injuries. One of the most notable offshoots of the stunt chaos involved Max Aspen, a coordinating stunt performer. In a risky scene, he launched his vehicle over a pile of wrecked cars at high speed. But during a take he wasn't satisfied with, he asked them to take it again. That was a bad decision, because on his second try, the car tumbled and Aspen broke a vertebra in his heel. He had to leave the production to recover. George Miller's background as a medical doctor proved invaluable in these moments of crisis. When Norris was hurt during his stunt, Miller provided immediate medical care on set before Norris was taken to hospital. Even with such expertise around, there were more injuries. After all, over 200 stunts were attempted with no digital safety net. The high number of mistakes made the movie more authentic. The cast and crew accepted the risk, pushed through it, and kept going. That gave The Road Warrior a gritty realism and helped them create one of the top movies we have today. In the midst of all the craziness, there was a bit of bonding on the set of Mad Max 2, especially that between Max and the Feral Kid. Fact number 9, Gibson trained the Feral Kid. You might not have known this, but Mel Gibson didn't only connect with Dog behind the scenes. One of the most surprising connections on the Mad Max 2 set was the relationship between Mel Gibson and 8-year-old Emil Minty, who played the iconic Feral Kid. Despite having no formal lines, Minty's character was defined by his agility, feral energy, and dead-on boomerang skills. Minty later revealed that it was Gibson himself who helped him master those moves. In interviews, Minty remembered that Gibson taught him how to throw a boomerang with both power and accuracy, but Gibson also showed the young actor how to perform a safe headbutt, which was a move that fitted the feral, warrior-like nature of his character, and also without putting Minty in danger. During Minty's filming, his mother stayed with him throughout the 3-month shoot in Broken Hill. She grounded him emotionally and helped him manage the chaos of filming. This helped Minty channel his energy into a performance that felt wild, real, and believable. In the midst of all the chaos and heartfelt moments, the director, George Miller, was holding it all together. Well, that's until he decided to get behind the wheel himself. Fact number 10, George Miller's failed driving attempt. George Miller wasn't content with just directing Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, from the sidelines. During the climactic tanker chase, he actually got his hands on the wheel. Dressed in costume, he climbed into a dune buggy and was tasked with operating the onboard camera. But Miller couldn't direct and act at the same time as he wanted. On his first take, instead of tilting the camera correctly, he accidentally switched it off when he called action. Then, at the wrong moment, he switched it back on a safer yelling cut. His shaky handling was also obvious. The director had to be removed from the seat and replaced with a professional camera operator. It was clear that in the world of stunts and crazy driving, it was better to leave things to the experts. Well, even if the experts were stuntmen on their first day on the job. Even though the stunt didn't go as planned, it was clear that Miller wanted to try his best to be part of the world that he was creating. Whether it's the director playing a stuntman, spontaneous motorcycle crashes that made the final cut, or a dog saved from being put down just hours before filming, the making of Mad Max 2 The Road Warrior was as wild and unpredictable as the film itself. Which of these behind-the-scenes secrets blew your mind the most? Drop it in the comments. If you stayed till the end, you're clearly into the madness and genius behind movie making. To get more of these insane, real-life stories from film sets, hit that subscribe button. And if The Road Warrior got your heart racing, leave a like, because this chaos was made for fans like you.